This Raw Vision video is brought to you by Metro Solar, proud partner of the Richmond Football Club.
Timmer, thanks for joining us.
No worries, Vossy. Thanks for having me.
How do you look at it from a helicopter view and describe this season?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's been a frustrating one from our point of view. Early days, we didn't play well enough. We had some injuries, but we don't like to make excuses. Our good players weren't quite playing to the level. A lot of emphasis was put onto our role players, but they are role players. Our better players had to perform to a higher level, and that's been the noticeable difference for us. Those players have lifted their work rate and also their capacity of how they're playing, and the wheel turned. By no means are we there. We're still short of where we need to be. We're not quite playing to the level that I know we can, but we're certainly taking some steps forward.
It's interesting you highlight that because, from the outside, you can look at it and think, well, why aren't the Tigers playing? Why aren't the Tigers playing better? How come they're not going from, the position they finished last year and going up another level? And Brett Delidio described it, and he said, we've learnt so much about ourselves this year. What is that? What were you discussing behind the scenes when you're going through that period of time?
I think the big thing from our point of view, little things add up to a lot. And sometimes when you're not ticking every box, whether it's dietary, preparation, sleep, they're not big things. But when you add them all together, they end up causing a bit of an effect that's not quite there. And, Ivan made some comments about we weren't quite doing a lot of things right. But what we're saying is you're doing 95% of those things right. But if you want to be an elite AFL team, you've got to do them right 100% of the time. And that's something that our boys have learned. There's no taking shortcuts in this field that we're in. It's incredibly competitive. It's ruthless, and if you don't prepare 100% of the time to your level, you're going to get beaten. The
first one about your leaders. They've been able to really develop throughout the season to the point now where they look like they're starting to run the system even under extreme pressure.
Yeah, they are. And last week was exactly that point. We were really confident in the box that we knew our guys knew exactly what to do at what sort of moment that was required, and it's been a positive step for us. And look, we always knew our leadership group was relatively young. Trent's 23, maybe turning 24. So we always knew his first day as captain was always going to be his worst. He was going to get better as the time went on, and he's grown into that role. And when we were at our darkest in those early parts of this season, he started to step up and was really strong in what he wanted this footy club to be. And it's a demanding game. And the more leaders you've got on the field, the more they take care of things on the field. The coach's box is there, but it's more of a backup in a way, because the players have got to make decisions very quickly on the ground, as we know.
Does the terminology Moneyball, does that prickle you?
Yeah, a little bit. I think we've probably been tarnished a little bit with that brush, but our guys, our recruiting and list management guys are very smart and diligent in what they do, and we've got a numbers-based system that sort of, in effect, allows us to make informed decisions about what we can and can't take within a drafting format. And people often forget that there's a number of clubs, us included, that went through a stage where there weren't a lot of picks on the table, Vossy, as you know, which is incredibly hard. So you've got to find other ways to prop up your talent. We always kept I think in general, our first 3 picks in the draft, but we always added depth with regard to players we thought could add to our list to help us remain competitive along the way.
Did your own background play a part in that thinking, though? You're an Essendon legend. You move and you go over and play to Port Adelaide and you win a premiership there.
Yeah.
Did that influence your philosophy as a coach?
Well, a little bit to a degree. I think Port that year, we won it in 2004. I think there may have been 6 or 7 players that played in that premiership side that were from other clubs. We're a really strong believer if you take the name out of it, if a player can help your cause and you bring that player in. Age is the one thing that we have to look at, the demographic of our list. We don't want to get too many players over the age of 27, 28 that aren't going to be there when we're a chance. So we think it's been a really important process for us, and we'll continue to do that if we think it'll make us better.
And carrying on with the theme about yourself, I played against you and you're tough and hard at it, and there was a style you went about it. No doubt every coach would like to have some sort of brand associated with their football team. Was it extremely disappointing then to have Vickery and Conker go above what you'd probably describe what toughness is, and the manner that you would describe what real tough is on the football field.
Yeah, it was disappointing. It was out of character for those two guys as well. Look, we want our guys to play good, hard, tough footy, but we also understand there's rules to abide by. And it's funny the knockabout effect on those two players. Like, Ty at half time was really traumatised by it to the point where I had to go in and console him and say, listen, it's done. You're going to cop your fair whack and, you deserve it and all that, but we need to come out and contribute for the second half of this game. And people don't often see that. Ty was really remorseful with what he did, but also it really shook him up, that the fact that he made the blue that he did. And Reece was the same, the same sort of thing. We're not looking for any sympathy here. He did a ridiculous thing that, he's lucky he didn't cause further injury to Devon Smith, but, he was really traumatised by his actions also. He was embarrassed by it. His parents were remorseful. His parents copped a lot of flack in Perth, and it's really out of character for those two guys. They're stand-up guys, but, we spoke to them about it. There's things we want you to do on the footy field, but those things are well outside the boundaries.
If we get to the end of the year and Richmond do finish 9th, does it sugarcoat the year, or are you even more resolute to know, no, we're on the right direction? We needed to correct a few things, because it's hard to assess your list in some ways, because you haven't necessarily started the season well, but finished it really strong and playing fantastic football at the present time. Yet it might not get you to finals.
Yeah.
So how do you assess your list based off that?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good question. We spoke about this this week, actually. It's probably, we think we've had a better year from a learning point of view this year than last year, which doesn't probably answer your question in a way, but we're really pleased where we're at. We still feel, we know that the majority of our young talent is 25 and under. Yep. So our talent's only going to get better over the course of the year. We've got a really young spine. We still feel as if our best football's well and truly in front of us. Whether it ends up we're being short this year, who knows? But from an overall perspective, really proud of our footy club, the way they've found a way to dig themselves out of a big hole that we got ourselves in. And there was no one else to blame but ourselves. But more importantly, I think we've hung tough and showed there's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel.